Welcome back. Welcome to this episode. And today's episode is about life, going through life. What happens when life decides to wrestle you down? What happens when you lose everything you've created? What happens when you're healthy and suddenly you have no arm, no leg, no ear? What happens when you get married to the strongest man on the planet and then they wake up with no nose? What do you do when life throws its tantrums at you and makes it impossible to be the same, do the same, have the same level of vibration and frequency? What do you do? My dad used to say that he's grateful that we are not super rich, because if we were so rich, we would never know who's our friend and who's not. Because when you're rich, everyone is your friend. When you're wealthy and everything is happening in the right direction for you, it's easy for people to love you. It's easy for people to accept you. It is easy for people to say, you're welcome to my home, But when everything goes away, that is when you see who is your friend and who is not. That is when people's true colors come out. There's a lot of takers in this world. And if you've never been tested, you do not know, do you have real friends? Do you have takers? Or do you have people who just want something from you? And I am so grateful that I personally didn't become super wealthy before I got so poor. And so I like being in a place where I have nothing, because that can show me who do I need in my life and who don't I need in my life. So today I have someone with me who is going to talk through this kind of things, when everything is going well and suddenly, boom, nothing is going your way. How do you recover from that? How do you not get suicidal? How do you not just collapse and die? I have Elizabeth Meigs here, and in her 20s, she was the bomb.com. Everything was going well for you. She had a super successful career, and she was young, and just everything was going as expected, or even more than expected. But then she was in a car accident and she lost it all. She lost it all. And today we're going to talk about that life of having it all and then just boom, having nothing. Like, how do you recollect yourself and get up again? How do you watch your friends leave? How do you watch the people who supposedly loved you disappear? Like, how do you recollect yourself through that experience? I love her story, and that's why I wanted her to come on, because as we pursue our goals and our mission and everything we do, there is a point at which you might lose it all, and this can be you. And when that happens, maybe you can come back and watch this, so that you can kind of get inspiration from somebody who's been there, done that, and now they're still alive, breathing, and fine, inspiring others. Elizabeth, welcome to the show. I'm excited to be interviewing you today.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here. I actually was 14 when everything ended.
14? I thought you were 25. Oh my God.
No, it was 24 years ago. I was 14. It was 1 week into my freshman year of high school.
Before we dive into your story, which I want you to dive in, you were saying something about when this happened. Please carry on.
Yes, I was 14. I was chasing my dreams. Had been singing and performing for over half my life. Since the age of 7, taking voice lessons. I was known for my singing voice, and my voice teacher believed in me, and she knew that I was going places. So she had arranged for me to be in a recording studio, cutting a demo tape with everything moving full speed ahead. As soon as I graduated high school, I was planning on moving to Nashville to pursue a career in country music.
Wow. Let's dive into your story. And how did that turn up, or how did that take us there and kind of brought us through your story up to now?
Well, my life was easy. Everything was going for me. I always had friends. Everyone wanted to be my friend.
Mm,
But then one morning you wake up and everything changes. It can happen in the blink of an eye.
mm,
One week into my freshman year of high school, we were traveling down a rural 2-lane highway when all of a sudden we were struck from behind. This sent our vehicle into a tailspin, which then proceeded to barrel roll multiple times until we finally landed in the field on the opposite side of the highway.
mm,
With every roll, my head was at the point of impact. I had suffered a traumatic brain injury. I had to be resuscitated multiple times at the scene in order to get me stable enough to be transported to the rural hospital where, frankly, they weren't equipped to meet any of my medical needs. They
wow.
would get me stable, get
Mm,
me drugged, and life flight me to the nearest trauma center an hour and a half away by car.
mm,
This was when my family would receive a very dim prognosis, less than a 25% survival rate. The doctors made no promise, would inform my family that I would need to be placed in a drug induced coma to allow my brain and my body the best chance of survival. I would remain in this coma for 3 weeks. Once I came out of my coma, I was reduced to that of an infant. I was no longer that beautiful, independent 14-year-old girl chasing her dreams.
mm,
I had to rely on someone to help me with absolutely everything. I couldn't walk, had to relearn to walk, had to relearn to care for myself. It would be 3 full months of intensive hospitals and rehabs before I would make it back home for good. At this point, I hadn't really discovered that everything was going to be different.
mm,
Once back in school, my friends' lives had gone on. They were
mm,
still playing the sports we loved, going out on the weekends, working their part time jobs. Me, I had to do therapy after school every day of the week for years. We had to hire tutors to get me caught up and keep me caught up with my classes. Schoolwork was so much more difficult.
mm,
I had no life. I was an invisible nobody. I dealt with judgment. I dealt with rejection from people that would see something physically wrong with me and they would decide that I wasn't worth their time.
wow.
This hurt. It was devastating.
Mm,
I had no one. I was alone. I was isolated. I would come home from school multiple times a week for years and tell my parents that I should have died in that car accident. I wish I was dead and I want to kill myself. I would throw myself down on my bedroom floor, screaming out to God, asking Him why He did this to me. What did I do to deserve this?
mm,
But that's when I would receive an answer. This answer would come in the form of a voice on my heart, and this voice would bring me the only comfort and peace that I would receive over the course of a decade.
mm,
I knew that this voice was from my higher power, God, saying, I have a plan for you. You can't stop. You have to keep going. I knew in that moment that I couldn't give up, that I was going to need to one day be for someone else exactly what I needed in that moment. So
mm,
I couldn't stop. I didn't know how, I didn't know when, but I had to keep pushing forward. I had to keep going because what I was going through, I wouldn't have wished on a single soul.
mm,
So I began going to bed every night, praying to God, thanking Him for my life, thanking Him for my blessings,
mm,
asking Him to lead me and help me to make the right choices because I knew whatever this plan was, it
mm,
was so much greater than what I was currently going through. And I just had to figure it out. Of course, it's hard to be patient in times like this because I wanted it all right then and there, but I wasn't ready. I had to continue to grow through my challenges. I had to learn how to grow through my challenges so I could become the person I needed to be to fulfill his plan, to fulfill my purpose, which were in perfect alignment. I got through high school, graduating with my class by the grace of God, went on to college where I would change my major multiple times before finally graduating with a degree in occupational therapy. When I walked into my first patient's room who had suffered a stroke, they had lost hope. They were discouraged. They wanted to give up. The fact that I could sit across from them and share with them my story, that would give them hope. That gave them proof that they could get through this because I was standing right there in front of them. I was their proof.
I'm wondering, when did you get this place, whoever is listening to this feels called for more. They feel like you're made for more. There is more for your life. This is not it. What you're doing right now is not it. And there is a higher calling on your life. But the problem is the how never downloads in the same message. The how is always fuzzy. And so people are always saying, yes, Lord, but how? Oh, but why me? But how? Like when I started to receive this calling, it was funny because it was a calling that I was supposed to facilitate generational curses across the globe. And I was stuck in Uganda, no power, no internet. I didn't even know how to use my Facebook. I was just having an account for some reason, and I didn't even know how to post on there. So I was like, but Lord, you must be crazy. Like, how am I supposed to do that? I don't even have a Facebook account. And I would love for you to tell us, how did you move through that? Yes, but how? Like, how did you go through that? What was your tell us through your experience of I knew I was called for more, but I had no idea how. How did you go through that?
Well, so God's voice on my heart was my hope. It kept me going. I knew that the dreams on my heart were placed there for a reason. I had to figure it out. I would go through life and all of a sudden a door would open and I would just get a download and I would begin to see all of the possibilities. I didn't know how half the time, but it takes courage to continue to get up. You may not know how. Trust me, I failed miserably many times. I continue to fail, but it's the failing forward and not letting that get you down and get you stuck, continuing to get up and chasing those dreams on your heart. I'm here today to give you proof that you have everything within you to be able to make those dreams on your heart become a reality. It's not going to be easy, but nothing worth doing ever comes easy.
I'm just wondering why, because I always tell my listener, like, the how does not belong to you. Let it go. If you feel that strong calling on your heart, if
Yes,
higher power is saying you're called for more, you need to step forward and serve. The best thing you can do to yourself is to just let the how go. Because there's always a way that the next step unfolds and the door unfolds. But I guess that depends on the level of your faith and conviction in the message you're getting. But for me, I always felt like the message was clear. The calling was clear. There wasn't fog on the calling. It was clear. You're meant for more. You're called for more. You need to step up. That was always like strong. And so I somehow trusted that if it's this clear, then there has to be a how somewhere. I just didn't know what it was. And so I took my faith and just kept bumping into closed doors. I wonder what your how looks like in terms of this complete darkness in the how, but you feel a very clear calling on the what. And there can be a disconnect for people who feel strongly called and they just don't know process of it, and they're looking for the proof, and they're looking for the data, and because it's never there, you know.
So it's aligning myself with those who are a couple steps ahead. In later years, being able to attract the people into my life that were exactly where I was aiming to be. And I would turn to them. I wasn't afraid to reach out to them and ask them for help, ask them how they did it. And they would help guide me. They would help lead me. Whether it was a therapist teaching me how to walk, or later on in life through business, being aligned with other business owners who were doing exactly what I'm being called to do.
Wow.
Continuing to find that support that is from people who have been there.
I want to go back to 14 years old in coma, and you said I had to start all over again. I had to learn everything like an infant. How bad was it, if you recorrect any of it? Like, how bad was it? Was it like you can no longer talk, you can no longer walk, you can no longer stand? How bad was it?
It was 43 days before I spoke a whisper from the ventilator that had been in keeping me breathing and alive for 2.5 weeks. I couldn't sit up on the edge of the bed by myself. I had lost every bit of muscle mass that I had ever had. The first time I stood, there was a therapist on both sides of me, and it was just a matter of seconds before my knees buckled, and they had to place me back on the edge of the bed to keep me from crashing to the floor. At the end of that 4th week, that first full week that I was out of my coma, I took 1 or 2 steps in the parallel bars with the wheelchair right behind me that they could set me in once my legs gave out. I had to relearn everything.
Wow. So when did you move from, okay, I'm living this life of mine, it's not as bad as I thought, I've actually gone through school, to I now want to be able to be the proof and get on stages and speak and inspire another person who may feel like all hope is lost, someone who may feel like it's no comeback? I want to be their living proof that there is a chance for everyone. When did that occur to you? When did that realization occur for you to realize,
Well, it was 5 years after I had been working as an occupational therapist. I had seen the power in my story by working one-on-one with my patients who had lost hope. I was invited to a church in January of 2017. When I went to that church, I found out that they had a Celebrate Recovery. I didn't know much about Celebrate Recovery. I knew drug, alcohol abuse, finding worldly ways to numb their pain and cope with stress and anxiety. And I thought to myself, okay, if my story helps my patients, I can get up on a stage and give my testimony on what God has done in my life, and I can continue to provide hope. I got up on a stage and shared my testimony and had so many people coming up to me telling me how much hope I gave them. One night, a woman come up to me and said, "Beth, I wasn't going to come to church tonight, but something was telling me I needed to be here. I know now that that was God. I needed to hear your story. Thank you." I continued to get confirmation that I was doing exactly what I needed to be doing. I had no idea that God's voice in my heart was going to lead me to a place where I could get up on a stage and make a true impact in people's lives, showing them the way.
It's crazy, because the confirmation is so worth it. When it comes, you're like, okay, this was so worth it. And so
Yes.
you're able to go through the next and the next. And I like to tell people that being able to listen to your instinct or even listen to the voice that is coming to you is a muscle and
Yes.
has to be developed. Because when I first got the voice that I was supposed to facilitate generational curses, I got freaked out. I was like, Lord, you must be out of your senses. Like, how am I supposed to do that? And then it kept coming and it kept coming. And I kept getting other messages. But every time those messages would come to life, I would be like, oh, okay. I guess anything is possible. I don't have to know the how and the where and the when. And so my muscle started to grow, to grow, to grow. That today, this stage is the proof of people coming on and saving lives and breaking generational curses. I have trauma healers, I have therapists, I have everybody, like people breaking generational pain. And I'm like, wow, so this is it. And maybe when you put another thing on my heart, now my ability to say yes, I have no idea how, but I don't care. Like now
Yes.
my
Yes.
muscle has grown and I feel like I have
Yes.
more faith in the word when it comes. I'm like, yeah, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
whatever you want. I mean, you've always done things your
Yeah.
way. Now I
Yep.
have more faith and more. I have the
Mm-hmm.
muscle. I don't know what's your experience when it comes to like confirmation and being able to go through the next phase of darkness when the how is like completely unclear.
It's just you gotta continue to get up and you gotta continue
Mm,
to take action. You don't know how. It's yes, my resilience muscle was being built
mm,
over the course of the last 24 years. Strength, resilience, that is a muscle. Your mindset, that is a muscle that you got to continue to work on building and
mm,
learning the strategies that will continue to build those muscles so
mm,
that they can become habits. That's how you become unstoppable. That's how you're able to turn that impossible into I'm possible.
mm. Wow. Wow. What was your biggest realization through all of this? What is the thing that you wish you knew when, like at 15 or something? What is the lesson today that you wish you knew then?
Oh my, that I wish I knew then.
Mm.
I guess all of the so that I wouldn't have made the mistakes. But you know what? If I wouldn't have made the mistakes, I wouldn't be here right now. So those mistakes are just missteps,
Mm.
areas for growth for you to
Mm.
build that strength and learn how to keep going. Like I said, learning how to fail forward, keep getting up despite the mistakes, because I'm far from perfect. But those imperfections, it's
Mm.
like God takes those imperfections and molds them together to make you who you need to be
Mm. If
so
you
that you can.
were if you were to give me like a framework or a process or clear steps of how you were able to move from one mindset to where you are now, would that be something you would tangibly give me? Like if I am at a place where maybe I've lost my child or I've lost my leg or whatever the thing is, and I feel hopeless and I'm like, I have no idea what to do, and I probably wish I shouldn't be alive. How do you think through that comeback of lost hope? Maybe I need to get to drugs to I can do this. How do you think through the steps of that journey?
My peace process is what I use. My
Mm,
peace process, the first P is identifying your purpose and
mm,
your passions align with that purpose. Because when you discover what you're passionate about, that's
mm,
when joy is brought into your life. That's one
mm,
of the steps that keeps you going. So, gaining clarity on your purpose and your passions.
mm,
Then the E is learning how the strategies to be able to elevate that mindset, to learn how to shift all of the negatives to where you're viewing them as positives. That makes it easier. When you can learn how to shift those negatives into positives, it makes it a lot easier to keep going. Awareness, self-awareness, being aware of what triggers you, being able to reflect back on when you are triggered. What caused that? Was that an external force or was it an internal force? And learning again how to shift to where you can keep going. The C is for cultivate resilience. You see the purpose, the elevating the mindset, the awareness. That all builds together to help you to be able to cultivate resilience, to build that strength and keep going. And once you learn how to do all those things consistently and they become habits, that's when you're able to fully embrace a life of joy. You find success. You find it easier to chase those dreams, and you begin attracting exactly what you need to get you where you need to be. The Lord gave us everything within ourselves to make those dreams come true. And He wants to give us the wants on our heart. But it's not going to be easy. And it's the growth through the challenges. Those challenges make the victory so much sweeter once you finally break through.
You said the first thing is purpose. When you understand what your purpose is or why you're here on this planet, elevate your mindset, find a way to get every negative and kind of see the positive in everything. I like that.
Yes.
To become self-aware, because I think the worst thing a human being can be is just being default and just keep reacting to life. There is beauty in self-awareness and knowing yourself and knowing your triggers and maybe understanding if there's some work that needs to be done on yourself from those triggers. Cultivate resilience. I think people need to treat the resilience muscle the same way they treat the physical muscle when they go to the gym.
Yes. It's the exact same thing. That mindset, the resilience, they're all muscles that you got to work every day. You got to work them.
So mental fitness, not just physical fitness, but mental fitness. Embrace the life of joy. I want to ask you though, like the purpose piece, because some people don't know their purpose and they have no idea how to get their purpose. And I wanted to ask you your experience around finding your purpose and how that shifts things. Some people purpose seems like, woo, like purpose, really, but I can't understand how different things get when you identify your purpose and keep in line with your purpose. But I don't want to sound woo right now. I want people to understand if they haven't found their purpose, what they're missing out. And I feel like you have found your purpose. Could you speak to that? Your experience of before you found your purpose and now?
Well, so I've kind of always known my purpose, but my purpose shifted. So before the accident, my purpose was to sing and connect with people singing from a stage. After the accident, my purpose shifted because I faced adversity and I learned how to go from surviving to truly thriving, to rise above that adversity and find my peace despite it. So I hope it's gaining clarity. When you're trying to do it on your own, it can be difficult to gain clarity. Getting other people's perspectives, just having other people ask you questions, it kind of gets your mind going and it helps you to be able to gain clarity. I worked with coaches. I started working with some coaches a little over a year ago, and they helped me to gain clarity on the specific strategies that I developed after my car accident. Had I not been aligned with these coaches and hadn't started working with them, my pathway to peace never would have been created. I would have never figured it out. But it was all happened for a reason. In perfect timing, I was aligned with these coaches that could help me to figure out my pathway to peace so that I can truly step into my purpose. I always knew that I had a purpose, but it's by continuing to get up, finding the courage to step out of your comfort zone, becoming comfortable with the uncomfortable. That's how I've gotten to where I am today.
I want to talk about what happens when you begin searching for answers. I don't know how to bring it out, but I feel like answers do not come to you if you're not looking for them. And every time I wrap my head around a problem, the answers come.
Yes.
I don't know that I have a process to that, but when I lie in my bed, I go, I'm looking for answers to them. I am scanning for answers. I need answers to this thing. And could be the next morning, or it could be a couple of days or months, and the answer just falls on my lap.
Yes.
What can you say to that? Because I feel like when I'm not looking, I will miss the answers. But when I am consciously looking for an answer, it will fall on my lap. Somehow, someone will be placed in my life to answer that question, or something will happen, and that answer will just come very clearly. But I need to search. I need to ask. I need to say, I am looking for. I need to tell my head, I don't know, subconscious, that I need answers for this thing. Get to work. I feel like I'm always telling my subconscious, hey, get to work. I need answers for this thing. I don't care how you get answers. I need answers to this thing. What's your process through finding answers when you feel stuck and you don't know how to do something? How do you get those answers to come to you? Or I don't know, something like that.
Taking action, living intentionally, searching, seeking those answers, because it's just seeking them. What you were describing to me is exactly what's been happening in my life for the last 12 to 13, 14 years. When I continue to step out, seeking those answers, taking action, living intentionally, trying to figure it out, I just automatically attract what I need. Now, our minds can play tricks on us. We can start to step out, and then our own mind will be like, no, this can't happen. No, this is too good to be true, yada, yada, yada. Sometimes that's the case, but then sometimes it's not. It's just stepping out and taking that leap of faith. Trusting that you will get the answer, that it'll come in perfect time. That's the key. Not staying stuck, not staying down, but getting back up.
How important is it to have self-alignment or self-awareness, or to be in tune with your thoughts, your feelings, and to be able to listen for like direction from the higher realm of things? How important is it that people are in tune with or in sync with their body, their thoughts, and how important is it? Talk to that piece, because there's people today who have no idea who they are and where they're going. How important is it to tap into that piece?
That's the most important part. So the spirit of God lives in all of us. And it's when you can learn to tap into that, that's when you find your strength. Tapping into that, that's what makes anything possible. He's within us for a reason. It's to be able to help us to be able to fulfill our dreams. Like I said, there's dreams on your heart are placed there for a reason. And you have everything within you to make them come true. Learning how to tap in, gaining the clarity, tapping into your inner strength, that inner spirit that can help fuel you, that can fulfill so much greater than anything else in this world. Right now, where I'm sitting, I am so rewarded by the people that are placed in my life that I get to help. They are so much more of a blessing to me than any of the benefits that I've ever seen from any of my strategies, from anything that I've done in my life, any success that I've had. It's the people that I can help. That's where the reward comes from.
Yeah. I love that. I just think that there's a lot to be missed when you don't listen to the calling on your life, and in the first place you don't say yes, because all these experiences won't come for you. You will stay with the body, you will stay with tissue, you will stay with data, facts, but the human will can only go so far. Human
Yes.
being, the body, the shell can only go so far. You have a soul for a purpose, and the moment you don't use it, I feel like it's a shallow life when we don't embrace all of our parts, including the spirit. And you don't have to believe in God, really. You can just believe in something else, like a higher being, like
something greater than you.
A
great believing in the greater good. I had to learn how to believe in the greater good. I knew all the challenges that I was going to face. I knew that they were all going to turn out for the greater good, because that was the voice in my heart was telling me that. You can't let fear hold you back. It's fear. But fear is just false evidence appearing real. There's a 50-50 chance that when you get up and you step out and you face that fear, that you're going to be stepping into that greater purpose. That because fear is only meant to hold you back. But you have nothing to be afraid of. Because those dreams, they were placed there for a reason. Don't be afraid of falling flat on your face. I've done it many times, but I continue to get up and I keep moving forward. And that is how I've gotten to where I am today.
I mean, what can fear do? What's the worst case that can happen? I don't know how many times I've had to fail and start all over again, but we're not dead. Like, fear won't kill you. So what's the worst case that will happen? You fail, you get rejected. Someone says no, you lose a friend.
But you fail, get back up and try again. This time you're not starting from scratch, you're starting from experience. So you've tried it once. Yeah. If plan A doesn't work, there's 26 more letters in the alphabet. Go on to plan B. Continue changing that plan and keep pushing.
How do you help people, Elizabeth? Today, how do you help human beings? I know you're a speaker and you inspire people. Do you offer anything extra, like maybe support in any way?
Yes, I do. I have a group coaching program, which I love because it's bringing people together who may be in similar places so that they can support each other. Back in 2017, when I found the church, that gave me a support system. That was the first time in my life that I had found a place where I felt like I truly belonged. Finding the right support people in your life, people to support you that can lift you up when things are going all wrong, that's important. People that believe in you and help to encourage you to keep fighting, celebrating your wins. That's an important piece, celebrating your wins, lifting you up when you're feeling like you can't do it anymore. That is key. I also have one-to-one coaching that I will be doing as well. That's not on my website, so if you're interested in any of these things, just set up a time to talk to me.
There is just a code behind Elizabeth right now that you can scan. I have no idea how it works, but I see people scanning things and getting into pages. So if you know how to use the scan on her page, use the scan to get to a free call with her. I will personally be putting a link in the show notes because that's how my brain works. Like I need to click on a link and download. I might have even disabled the scan function on my phone because I want my phone to do the bare minimum because for me, it's like an office. I use my phone as an office. And so there's no notifications, no nothing. I don't even know that I can scan anything. So what I will do for people like me, I will just put a link in the show notes, how you can connect with Elizabeth, social media, book a call, her website, learn more. I think she does speak. So if you could use more inspiration, watch her speak and all of the nice things. That's what I'll be doing after we are done here. What did we miss, Elizabeth? What is the piece that you feel we haven't touched, but people need it so much to kind of move from a hopelessness place to a place of um hope and there is something for me, or I am not completely written off. What is it that you would add to this conversation?
I just want to add that when you feel like you can't do it, that you
Mm,
don't have the strength to keep going, to keep
mm,
fighting, to do whatever it is on your heart, I want you to know that there's one person who believes in you. So when you're listening to those voices in your head
mm,
telling you you can't, I
mm,
want you to shut them down. And I want you to hear my voice saying that I know you can. I
mm,
know you can make it through this and come out on top
mm,
because I have. So many people that I work with get stuck in the overwhelm, get stuck in the stress. They continue to live in the cycle of just worry and fear. I'm going to encourage you today to step out of that cycle.
mm,
Know that there's one person in this world who believes in you, and nothing's going to change that. I believe in you, and I know you can do this. And it's when you find the people who truly do believe in you, that's going to help your confidence. That's going to
mm,
help you to be able to grow into that purpose, figure out what that purpose is, and be able to fulfill it.
mm,
Now, if you have an idea what your purpose is and you think, no, there's no way,
mm,
I'm proof that there is a way. And
mm.
that by you continuing to step out, that way will be made. That path will be laid in front of you. Don't give up. You
Wow.
got this.
Wow. What would you say are like the three practical things that someone at rock bottom can start to do today to see a difference in their life? Like the three practical things today, do this to feel better tomorrow or feel better this week. I would like them to take away something tangible that they can do today.
Gratitude.
Mm,
Back in the very beginning, when
mm,
every night when I would go to God in prayer, I had no idea what I was doing. But
mm,
every night, no matter what had happened, I thanked Him for my life. I thanked Him for my blessings. I
mm,
was grateful to still be on this earth
mm,
because of what He was calling me to do. I
mm,
knew that there was something so much bigger out there for me, so much better than my current circumstances.
mm,
So definitely the gratitude.
mm,
Go to my website. One of my free resources is a subscription for text affirmations.
mm,
Being able to incorporate daily positive affirmations into your life, that's going to help you to begin to learn how to shift that perspective, how to shift those negatives into positives.
mm.
And believe. I know our minds play tricks on us, our minds want to stop us. But just believing in something greater than your current circumstances, what you're currently going through, it's the first step. You gotta believe in something bigger than yourself, bigger than what you're currently dealing with. When you can do that, you're on the right track.
I have a belief that it's not even what happens to the human being, it's what they choose to do with it. Because if Elizabeth could find a way to believe that she wasn't rich enough, I believe we all can. It's not what happens to you. I believe it's how you interpret it. I think it's how you live with it. I think it's how you decide to see the cup every day, because there's always maybe something in the cup, and there is a place you can be where you don't see anything positive. But I think that is the problem, not what happened to you, but the inability to go past the cancer or the accident or the numbness or the wheelchairness and kind of go, but I'm still alive. I could have been dead. I don't know that comes easy, and I don't know that I'm the best person to say that people should, try and find the positive. But if Elizabeth is telling you to do it, I believe that she has the qualification to tell you to, because she was in a worse state. She lost all of her life. But instead of becoming a drug addict and dying, she decided there was more to her life. And I believe that if she can do it, that you can. The biggest thing you can do for this podcast, for the work that is on my heart, which every day I want to explain to you what this work is. And the work is this. Around 10 years ago, I had a calling on my life that I was meant for more, that I wasn't supposed to be in a job. At that point, I left my job and started a business. When I started that business, I was dressing men in corporate Africa. So I was into style and luxury clothing. And somehow I kept being called to do to online experts, to Tony Robbins, to Grant Cardone, to Oprah. Something kept calling me to watch them. And I kept saying, wow, I wish I could do this, but there's no way. I'm in Uganda. The internet is in and out, and the power is next to impossible. And I recall having a strong calling to leave my business and come online, and I refused to say yes. I said, God, you're out of your mind. How do I start? And I remember when COVID hit, it was like, okay, now I've taken over the business. Now what? Now what? I was locked up in the house. I don't know for how long. And the only thing I could do was get online and watch these people. And I was like, but how did this happen? Now it's the only answer. And I didn't want to get a job. Getting a job I wasn't excited about it. And so I was like, well, if I have to proceed with my business, I have to learn how to do this. And I recall starting this business, I went to a challenge called Rise Up World. If you're a coach listening, you probably would have heard of Rise Up World. It was put up by Pete Vargas. And I went there, and 30 days later, that challenge was 30 days. Who goes to a challenge for 30 days? But that's what we did. I ended up signing up to a program that was $20,000. Now, $20,000 in my currency, that is 95 million. I had nothing in my bank. I had 2,000 when I signed up for that thing. And it was a monthly. So every month I kind of had to figure out what to sell to stay in the program. So I sold the sofas, and I sold the bed, and I sold the fridge, and I sold the car, and I sold everything that I had that was worth selling. And I just kept in the program. And 9 months later, I hadn't made a sale, but my mom was dying of COVID. And so I was forced to monetize. I somehow dragged someone in a Zoom room, and they ended up paying me. But when I was doing what I was doing, which was how do you create a personal brand and get to monetize it? How do you market and sell yourself? Because I always just knew how to market, how to tell people to buy something. It was never a problem for me. So I was doing that. And 2 years in, I got this message that you're not supposed to be doing this work. You're supposed to be helping break generational curses. And I'm like, oh God, sometimes I think you're high on weed. Like, how am I supposed to break generational curses? I ignored it and it kept coming. It kept coming. And I was like, if you want it to happen, you're going to show me the how, give me the proof. This business is working. It's making 6 figures. You want me to drop a 6-figure business and start breaking generational curses with no skills? I'm like, God, get serious. So I was like, I believe that's not God. It's not God talking. It kept coming. It kept coming. It kept coming until that business, I saw every client leave, every client leave, every client leave. And you know what they told me? Your message keeps changing by the day. I wonder that this business will be around for long. So everyone kept leaving, and that business moved from 6 figures to 0. And I was like, okay, I have seen this before. You have to take away what I have to force me to do the next thing. And I was like, okay, God, I'm here now. I have no client. What? I got angry. I was like, what? It was like, you're going to build this business. And I'm like, really? I started listening and I started small by small, I think step by step. See where we are now. The world's best kept secret. There is everyone that feels like they have a calling on their heart, but the how has never been clear. And so what I feel this platform is doing for people is it is bringing the how in one place. All these experts you see, they have a calling in their life. And sometimes they get lost in the how, they get lost in the fear, they get lost in the imposter syndrome, they get lost in, trauma, carrying trauma around. And this platform exists so that if you feel called to more and you often feel like you get lost in the how, you come on, you scan the experts, because there will be an expert that carries the how on their part. So if you feel called right now and you feel like there is no way this is my calling, I have no legs, no limbs, or whatever it is, don't worry. Because when I was having imposter syndrome, I remember listening to a guy called Nick I don't know, Nick something. His ministry is Life Without Limbs. And I kid you not, this guy has no arms, he has no legs. And he's making the biggest difference I can think of. And so I was there in my head going, Africa, really, Uganda, really, like, what do people know about this country? Poverty and hunger. Like, how are you supposed to get on stage and even tell people that you can help them? And I was busy in my head thinking I am not qualified. And I listened to this guy and he said, whatever disqualifies you is the exact reason people will listen and come to you. And the reason really this guy was able to speak to me when I was listening to Tony and Oprah and Grant and I don't know which other person, and I hadn't quite moved out of my head, is because he had no proof that he could do what he was doing. He had no legs, he had no arms. And he was the most excited person on the stage. And I said, if this man can be so excited and can impact thousands of people, why am I putting myself in a box of saying I'm from Uganda? And that is when I started to go, okay, I'll do it. I said yes at that point, which is why I'm saying if you feel like you're not qualified, there will be an expert here that comes that makes you qualified. And I hope that Elizabeth was that for you, because her life was written off at one point. She's been able to bounce back. So I don't know what excuse you're telling yourself right now, but Elizabeth is a living proof that you have no excuse. You have to say yes. Because if she could and she found a way, there's no reason why you can't. The biggest thing you can do for me and the work that has been placed on my heart is to share a message that touches you with one human being on this planet who you believe it can change their life. So who do you know that needs hope in their life? Who do you know that is at rock bottom? Who do you know that is writing themselves off? Who do you know that believes there's no reason for them to leave? Who do you know that is suicidal right now? Who do you know that is on drugs? Who do you know that something happened to them and they just feel like there's no reason why they should exist? Maybe they're on drugs, maybe they're on alcohol, maybe they are not getting out of their bed. I don't know. But who do you know? The best thing you can do for Elizabeth and myself is share this message with them. Because together we can break generational curses and help everybody step in their highest self one person at a time. It is my belief that this is the calling on my life through this platform. So that's what you can do. If you're on the app, please subscribe, please follow, please rate, please review. These things help more than you can imagine. My dream is to bring the Oprahs of this world on this platform. And you get to support me to do that. The only thing I need to get Oprah on this show is to answer the question, how big is the community? If I can answer that question to her satisfaction, she'll come. So the speakers that we need on this platform are in your hands, in the palm of your hands, in your ability to subscribe, to follow, to review, to let the world know that this platform needs stronger and stronger and more powerful speakers. And if you can do those things for us, we will be unstoppable. There is no marketing that will beat us. There's no strategy that will beat our ability to subscribe and share, and that person subscribes and shares. There's nothing that can beat human power. It is my belief that that is how this platform is going to grow. So I appreciate you taking the time. I appreciate you staying with us. And Elizabeth, do you have anything you want to end with?
I would just like to remind everybody that you have everything within you to be able to rise above and overcome. Don't ever forget that. And I'm giving you at least one person in this world who believes in you. I'm sitting right here. I know you can do it. Thank you so much for having me on your podcast.
Thank you so much for coming to the show, Elizabeth. And for you who is listening to us, thank you so much for the gift of your time, attendance, and your participation in the work we're doing. Have an amazing day. I will talk to you very soon. That is it, my friend. To listen to more exclusive interviews like this one, simply go to the World's Best Kept Secret podcast.com and select interviews based on preferred topic.